On this episode of RPG Book Club, we get wrecked, scrub. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren, and my heart is broken.
Oh, I guess I should go next. I'm Maddie Spiffle Webben.
And I am the 50th time you've missed your addition skill combo on that boss fight, Michael Rodriguez. Hi.
He's back, folks.
What's up? What's good? How are we doing?
Doing good.
That's great to hear. I'm just getting over being sick, so sorry if I sound like, I don't know, like I've been crying because of Legend of Dragoon, right? You know?
Yeah.
Or something like that. But it's just because I'm sick, so yeah, sorry about that.
Without saying why everyone is sad, but the fact that everyone was sad in our host chat last night made me really happy. Not because I'm like, I like that you guys are sad.
Yes,
but it's just like,
your misery sustains me. That's how Sam was. That was totally him all night.
I just had like the giant smile on my face while I was going to bed because like this game means so much to me, and the fact that like it was affecting y'all as much as it affected me, and it's not just like, oh guys, wasn't that the saddest part ever? And you're like, no. I'm like, oh, never mind. Sorry.
I can imagine how that's how I would have felt if you guys had finished True Pacifist Undertale, but you didn't.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to feel that way.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just giving you shit.
Yeah. Xenogears was hard to play two games at once with.
Yeah, no, I
understand.
It really was.
You play Xenogears, you're like, I don't want to play video games.
Yeah, Xenogears plays... It's because like Xenogears plays you. That's really how that works.
Yeah, it really
Russia.
All right. So today we will be playing part 2 of Chapter 1 of Legend of Dragoon, Serdian War, and we will stop when we switch discs and when our heart is broken.
We stop an hour or two after that, but yes.
Our heart remains
your heart gets broken. Heart gets broken, and then you've got to keep playing while you're sobbing. And you can't hit any of your additions through the stream of tears rolling down your face.
Chapter. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
The ugly crying made everything just so much harder.
Yes. It's hard mode.
Chapter 1 is like going into a game, like I feel like the developers knew that you were just always going to miss your whole editions and then end up on disc 1 just by the end crying because you can't hit anything ever, and then everything else.
Yeah,
you're gonna be crying anyway. Might as well lean into it.
Right? Yeah.
But yeah, let's go ahead and win us a Serdian War. If that's dope with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I will say, before we do get started, that Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob, passed away yesterday. And
oh my god,
we reference SpongeBob practically every sentence on this podcast, so that really...
Yep, there's definitely going to be at least one Big Thunder reference today, so...
Yeah. If not more than that.
Holy shit, I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
Neither.
It really...
Yeah, what was it? It was... I mean, it was...
He was only like 50-something. It was
he's
something.
young.
Yeah. Yeah. It was... It was rough, but...
Yeah, so everybody, pour one out, press F, etc.
Yeah.
Pour one on a sponge.
Yeah.
Just...
Wow, that's...
Yeah, wash with a sponge and a starfish today.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get on started on that somber note to make sure that
he had Lou Gehrig's disease.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is sad.
But yeah, now that we're appropriately sad to record an episode about the end of Disc 1 of Legend of Dragoon.
This is a great tone.
Get started.
Yeah. We're getting real good and sad for
like
what we need to be sad for.
We're priming the audience.
While we were playing through it, and Maddie and Eli were just like, "Wow, this is so great!" And like, I love the world fighting tournament, and I love this, and I love that. Everything is happy, and I saved at Helena Prison. I'll play that tomorrow. I'm just like, you poor innocent soul.
I was like a boss fight away from it. Is the thing. And then I stopped playing for like 2 days because I got busy.
Yeah. But before we get there, let's go into all the fun stuff. So
fun stuff.
So when we left off last time, we said we needed to go and save the 7th fort. So we do. Like, nothing really interesting happens. We go and we save the 7th fort, and we get done with the first dungeon of the day.
Here's a quick question: is it possible to skip this?
No. If you go that way, I think Lavitz is like, hey, this is the wrong way, or whatever.
Okay, because here's the thing. I totally went the other way, and I went... There was even a little cutscene of the one of Dart and Shauna walking.
Really?
Also, for the record, I had forgotten that we were supposed to say the 7th fort. I forgot what the point of the plot was at this point. So, I was just going. And I saw that cutscene. I saw a number of screens. And I might have even... gotten all the way through the dungeon. I can't even remember, like, if I got to the world map or not. But I got a long way, and then I was like, I should probably go back and do that other way, because this is clearly the right way to go. I should go the other way and see what's lying in that direction. And then it's like, oh, this was the thing I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Nice.
I swear, I actually think I got all the way to the world map. So maybe I would have just gotten the world map and then tried to go to the next place, and it's like, there's no next place to go to or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe so.
It was really weird.
I don't know. I haven't tried it that way ever. So I don't know.
Oh, while we're here, we might as well save this fort.
But yeah, so we save the fort. The only bit of cool thing that I had is there's a dead body of the bad guys in the bottom, and if you talk with it, Lavitz says there's no ally or enemy for the dead. Please rest in peace, because Lavitz is a great boy.
Yeah, he's really good.
And yeah, so
he's wonderful.
The other important thing to say is when you're exploring the fort after the boss fight is the first time in the game probably that you get to hear Reminiscence, which is the best song.
Yes,
it's so good.
Really good track.
Yeah. Later, I thought they were using it, but they actually were using Rose's theme, and Rose wasn't even in the scene. So I don't even know why they were using Rose's theme, because they're very similar. I'm just like, you had a sad piano song. You don't need a second sad piano song for this scene.
You need all the sad piano songs.
Right?
You need lots of sad piano songs. But yeah, no, it whips.
But yeah, so we decide to go to the Dragon's Nest. So we make our way through the marsh, and Shauna trips, and Dart carries her for like 3 feet, and it's a super sweet scene. And there's our second dungeon done. 2 dungeons down, 12 minutes in.
Damn.
We're good.
Yep.
But now we go into our third dungeon, which is similarly small, but has more meat to it. So we get into the Volcano Velude, and we are chased inside by this pretty firebird. Like, it's ugly and a mishmash of like crappy PS1 particle effects, but I have a soft spot for crappy PS1 particle effects, so I think the firebird looks really cool.
Nah, that's good.
And so it chases us inside, and we avoid a boss fight, and that's it. So
that's what happens. Like, you see this big ass phoenix. They're like, "Oh, run!" And then you get inside, and they're like, "Well, that's it.
Time for a dungeon, guys."
That's it.
Definitely not gonna have to fight it later.
It was like the most obvious tone introduction for any dungeon ever. It was pretty good.
So then we make our way through the dungeon, and while you're hopping across these magma rocks, no, Lavitz doesn't slip on a magma rock, and Dart has to save him again. That was 2 dungeons ago. But, but Shauna, go ahead.
I almost called him Bart. Jeez.
Can we name him Bart? Can we just change it?
Even though there's no voice acting, you can't change the names, which stinks.
Yeah. If Dart had to save Lavitz every dungeon, I would be okay with that.
That would be pretty funny. Yeah, like a little scene.
Hilarious and adorable, because they would get so much closer and just really be in love.
It's almost like the game is trying to make us love Lavitz as much as possible in every scene.
Because he's great. That's why.
Yeah,
just because he's
wonderful.
Great.
He's the best boy. That's the reason why.
He's absolutely the best boy.
So, Shauna does some more mystical shit that nobody seems to care about, and she runs off and starts talking to a giant corpse. And Rose is like, "Oh, hey, it's a Virage, and it's still alive." She says that the Virages were basically the Winglies' answer to dragons, and they were like designed to kill dragoons and dragons.
Also, once again, they took a word and changed one fucking letter in it.
Right? Virage. I can't get over how dumb the word Winglies sound.
Yeah, it's probably the worst word. Like, we talk about names in this game a lot, and I think Winglies are the worst one, especially because, like, as you can probably tell, Winglies are the real bad guys of this whole game. Like,
and they sound super intimidating.
Yeah, like, thankfully the bad guy for it, Melbu Frama, is a much better, more intimidating name, but he's still just like, "I am Melbu Frama of the Winglies," and you're just like, but
you sound dumb.
Yeah. So yeah, Shauna's talking to it, and Rose is like, "Yeah, this huge ass alien monster thing kills dragoons and hates dragoons, and also it's still alive. So let's get in a boss fight." And
yay!
Yeah, how was this boss fight for you guys?
So easy, so easy.
Yeah,
it was so easy. I just remember. I believe this is the one where you had to take out like the arm, the stomach, and then the head.
Oh yeah, this is super.
I just took out the head.
Yeah, you just have to take out the head.
Like games like this back then weren't all built to just be superficial like that, because I was like, I gotta take out the arm and then the head, or then the body and then the head, and that's literally what I did the whole way through. It was such a waste of time.
You made it like 3 times longer.
Sweet.
Sweet.
Well, for me, it was funny because obviously you know that you can take out the arm because that's how these games work. And if you take out the arm, then it can't use its arm attack.
Mm.
And I'm a goody two shoes who plays RPGs the way they're supposed to be played. So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take out the arm. I'll be very careful. But the thing is, the game didn't make it at all clear or indicate in any way whether the head or the body was the main bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I know I killed the arm. That's easy, and it only takes like 3 hits. But now I want to kill the other not main bit. Which one is it? And I noticed one of it's that, like the body. Like if you kill something's body, it's like it's gone. But if you kill its brain, then it's also dead. So I figured, you know what, it's doing like an eye laser attack. So maybe that's an optional thing. So I'm gonna hit the head. Which apparently the head was the main one. So.
Yeah, so what's kind of cool about this is you're way underpowered right here. You only have 2 Dragoons at the time. So this is a underpowered, literally was hanging out in lava for 10,000 years Virage. And so this is a like primer for how Virage fights go later, in which they are much harder because they have like 2 arms and like laser cannons on their back, and their stomach has an attack and all of these things. So it was like teaching you how to take down a Virage.
So in the future, the head is the main bit.
Yeah.
All right.
But the head is also really, really hard to kill in later bits, and you're just like, let me kill some arms and shit.
I guess I guess to that end, then by design, it's a really good introduction.
Yeah. It's dumb because it doesn't like alert you to what part it is. And I feel if they wanted the stomach to be a part of it, the stomach should have had an attack and the head not have an attack instead of vice versa. The stomach
it should have been like glowing in a certain way, or they could have had a dialogue that was like, let's try taking out its stomach first. Yeah. You know,
something like
that. Also, this battle gets a pass for being really easy because it's one of 2 battles in this one fucking dungeon.
Yeah.
Boss battle. So it's like, it's a mid boss, and it's just for plot reasons, and it's fun. I liked it. and the graphics are great.
And also, it ends with, I would say, the best in-engine cutscene of this chapter, but we know that that's a lie. So it has the second best in-engine cutscene, which is just Rose watching it die. And it's so badass.
Yeah.
It's so badass.
It falls into the lava, and Rose goes over, and it's like a low camera angle, and she just waits until it's completely dead, and then she walks away, and it's badass.
You know, it's really subtle, but I guess for back on a PS2 back in the day, small stuff like that really did a lot to kind of tell you about a character. You know, it's just such a dramatic, typical like scene, I guess, in a lot of ways. Kind of reminded me of like the Terminator with the claw, kind of just like going down into the lava.
Yeah, totally.
And so when I saw it, I was just like, okay, I kind of appreciated that they took the steps that they needed to kind of give her that extra character.
Yeah. The Let's Play I've been watching at work, they mentioned that Rose was probably the localizer's favorite character as well, because like she has the best written lines. She's like treated the best throughout the game, and it's like, yeah, she's mine too. I agree.
Yeah.
I've made like casual references to going through and doing like a localization ROM hack of this game, and I don't think I would touch Rose almost at all. I would like clean up some awkward phrasing, but pretty much leave her lines and stuff, because she's done good.
She's great. Yeah.
So after the boss fight, we meet Dabas, and the only thing is important is that he says he's from Lohan, and other than that, it's just a scene where we save a dude.
Yep.
And then we fight the fire.
There's one important thing here. This is the first introduction of this game's what I call, every RPG has this.
Oh yeah,
shenanigans theme.
It has a good shenanigans theme music. It's riding it's riding high on a positive rhythm.
Yeah, is that what it's called?
That's what it's called.
That's hilarious. Yes, yes. Just for those not in the know, every JRPG has at least one track that is the track when some shenanigans is happening. And like FF6 is a really good one. I'm sure those of you who played that one can remember how that one goes. And FF7 has like 2 or 3 actually, which is because there's a lot of shenanigans in that game.
And then on top of that, every Final Fantasy also has the Chocobo theme, which is like the original shenanigans.
Shenanigans theme, yeah. So this is a very good shenanigans theme. So and it's got a really great name too. When what was it? When me and my artistic partner and BFF Bernard were working on an RPG, we definitely were just going to call our shenanigans theme like we got Bob's theme, we got Linda's theme. I'm just making up character names. So and so's theme, villain's theme, shenanigans theme.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it would be great if you made a character named Shenanigans then.
Yes.
But so after that, we fight the Firebird, and it really just shows up, and we're like, could we run away again? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, let's fight it. And then, if you're like me, Shauna uses 2 Spear Frosts, and you go on your way, but how was the boss fight for you guys?
I didn't have Shauna with me.
Me neither.
I switched out for Rose as soon as you guys told me how to do that.
Yeah, Rose is the correct choice. I'm just, like, leaning into her magic attack to realize that this game doesn't want you to remember that magic items exist. It's definitely it is definitely balanced for
at some point in this week's playthrough, I switched to letting Shauna be in the party. I was just really committed to doing that. I just felt like doing it, like just to have some bit of balance. Like maybe I can find something redeeming about this fucking character. is a terrible idea. Have y'all seen the David Pumpkins sketch?
Yes, I just showed Ken that the other day.
Remember when he's like, why did you go all in on David Pumpkins?
Yeah.
That's how I was thinking all week. I'm like, why did you go all in on Shauna? But I did.
73 out of 100 floors.
I went all in on Shauna, and it was a terrible fucking decision. I'm probably going to continue making that decision, though.
Yeah. Her magic attack is great, but once you run out of items, you're just like, oh, so you're just going to do like 20 damage with your bow? That's what you're doing today?
And it's not even that great. And yeah, and then like once she gets once she gets Dragoon ability, which she does now, then you can oh no, she doesn't yet.
Spoilers for anyway, like 2 dungeons from now.
You can heal someone to full health, which is nice. And it doesn't cost a lot of MP, so if you just keep charging that and then use it when necessary, that's nice or whatever. But no, yeah, she sucks ass. Anyway, for me, all the boss battles in this week were just like trivial to the point where I don't even remember them until you get to a certain point in the game, because at a certain point in the game they get actually hard. Right. But we're not at that point yet, so
yeah. I think that if I remember correctly, because I technically didn't finish, but I've been watching a Let's Play and telling Summer about it and reading a Let's Play and all those things, and I'm like, it's okay that I didn't finish. I'm going to go to bed. But I think Dole is like one of the first like you got to think about it ones from what I remember.
Yeah,
it was a nightmare for me, especially because again, Shauna trained.
Yeah, But yeah, so that after the boss fight, we just leave. We've done 3 dungeons, 3 boss fights in 20 minutes. We're on a good clip. It's about to slow down dramatically. But basically nothing really important happened besides the Virage introduction. So everything else starts now. And when we reach the nest of the dragon, Rose comments on everything being poison, and Shauna's like, "Oh, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good." And everyone's like, I wonder why this is.
What could it be?
And Lavitz is like, well, Shauna is just a woman, so she's a weak little babby. And Rose is like, Rose turns to him and is like, your defense is like 3, dude. Me and Shauna could kick your ass. And Lavitz is like, you're special.
Why is Lavitz's defense so low? It's weird.
Yeah.
It becomes a problem.
Yeah, it really does.
It's problematic.
I was fighting, I think it was like it was either one of the mermaid mobs here or was one of the rock throwy ones later. So it had it was either strong against Dart or strong against Rose, and it still did more damage to Lavitz because he has such shitty defense.
Every single time like any magic attack happens, I'm like clenching my ass for Lavitz because he just gets nuked. Like it's wild.
He's kind of bad. But Dart tells Shauna that it's okay to be a weak little woman, and she promises to rely on him more, and they walk off. And this is when Rose is like, why are they pretending to be brother and sister? Yet another person realizing that they're in love, and Dart just whooshes on it. But then here in a second, the dungeon does a cool little fake out. It's not really a fake out because it's on the 3rd screen of the dungeon, but it counts, where you're walking across a web, but then that falls out from under you and you get into the real dungeon. And it's kind of a surprise, and it's cool looking, and it's weirdly designed. And what did you guys think about that dungeon?
It was interesting. I didn't expect. I didn't expect it. I mean, I expected that I would get dumped into this place, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, this is happening." But it wasn't too terribly difficult to figure out. It was just very different from what I was anticipating.
Yeah.
It looked weird and was intimidating, but if you just think of it as a series of, most of these dungeons are really just like a series of nodes and vertices and edges connecting them. So if you just treat it the same way, it's just like you just go down the edge and then you see an intersection and you pick one arbitrarily or not arbitrarily based on your gut, and then you do depth first and you backtrack. You know what I mean? If you treat it if you just treat it that way, then it's just like any other dungeon, even if it looks weird.
I absolutely hate it. I hate it. I don't want to. I didn't want to do this like webby sort of back and forth between like a dungeon. I'm okay with like puzzles, but I didn't like the water dungeon in Legend of Zelda. I don't like this. I don't like to feel like I'm in something that I can get like trapped in really easily.
Yeah,
that's because I'm a Cancer. But I'm kidding. No, but
Why is my life so full of cancers? God.
I don't know. I'm so sorry for your loss.
I'm a Gemini, by the way, so you're a month away from having me be a Cancer as well.
Wow,
yeah, and I'm a Slytherin, so.
Well, no, I just don't like. I don't think that these types of dungeons offer me much, right? Like, all I am is just going from one room to another, remembering where I last was, and like, I wanted to get to the end of the dungeon, but before I knew it, I had gotten every one of the fucking items, like, unintentionally. And I was like, okay, I guess I can't complain, but also I just spent 30 minutes doing this. So,
it is a little rote. I can see that. For me, it's just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just kind of going through the motions, but at least I'm enjoying some nice music and graphics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
The one thing I do like about it is its design is a puzzle in a way that most of the other dungeons aren't. Like, most of the other dungeons are a hallway. This one is still a hallway, but you, like, if you see something, you're like, I want to go there. You have to think, okay, where does it connect to the other layer? Because there's two floors.
Yeah, well, what circuitous route do I take to get it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that bit about it, and I don't know, I really like the weird, like, looks organic, like, what the heck has Fairbrand been doing to make this as his nest? It doesn't make any sense.
Why am I going into these weird purple butthole things?
Yeah.
Right. You guys are asking the important questions here. I guess I should have like really appreciated the scene for what it was.
Yeah. This is Fairbrand's
really
bedroom, and like, what if my bedroom looked like this?
Right.
He fills it with sphincters. I really like the design of it and like the aesthetic, because I love creepy shit. I mean, it took me a little bit to kind of get the hang of where everything went, but it didn't feel too bad to me, at least.
Yeah. It also has, like, we get 2 of them this week, but we had 0 of them last week, where the way forward is a puzzle, where it's like, oh, I have to press a button to unlock my way. Well, I guess we got 3 of them this week. I forgot that that's technically true in Shirley, but it's really, really easy in Shirley.
Yeah.
But, and so like this one, it's like, oh, I need to go, like, I see where I need to go, but I need to lower the thing, so I have to go find the switch for it. And so making it not just a hallway was delightful for me. But,
quote, have to go find the switch describes my life relating to both video games and romance and dating.
But, so, a small thing that happens is there's a pool of spring water when you get there. Don't know why they decided that this is where the spring water that comes up later should be, but it's your healing point for the dungeon. And
it's so nice.
Yep, they make a weirdly big deal about it. Like, hey, remember this later, and I'm like, okay.
Well, it immediately evoked Final Fantasy VI things for me because there were those pools of water in Final Fantasy VI where you could go heal. So I was immediately like, oh, yay! I have a place where I can regain all my health.
Healing's a fucking trope, but the fact that they made it such a big deal was just kind of weird.
Well, no, I mean, I get that. I just
and then later, so just to spoil, like, jumping ahead, we end up needing some pure water to purify something. Why didn't we just go to the stove and boil some Lohan's water instead of
going to place to get to the water, and it's inside of the
belly of this dungeon.
It's not infused with a dragon's essence, and by a dragon's essence, I mean pee.
Yeah, like that scene in Angry Birds movie when they drink pee.
I have not. That's great.
I haven't seen the Angry Birds movie, but it's a thing.
Oh, God. All right, great. More reasons not to watch the Angry Birds movie.
Yep.
Got it.
But, yeah, so,
not that I needed any.
So you get the spring water and you make your way through the dungeon. At the end of the dungeon is, like, it's such a really cool part, but it comes out of nowhere, and it's one of those things that, like, on retrospect, I really, really like it, and if you're a diligent NPC person, it's better for you, but if you just didn't talk to NPCs and you're just basically following waypoints in a game without waypoints, you kind of just get blindsided by the fact that Lavitz's, like, mentor is the boss of this dungeon.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Yeah, and so like there are NPCs that are like, oh hey, we've been at the Civil War for 18 years, ever since Graham left and stabbed Servi in the back and joined Sandora, and so that's been going on for 18 years. But we've had a truce for like the last 5 or 10, and things have just started up again this last year or whatever. And you talk to them, and so you know that Graham is an important person, but none of the major cutscenes have any of that. So you just come into like what looks like a throne room, and there's just a dude, and he's just like, "Hey, Lavitz, what's up? Remember me?" And the player does not.
And I'm just like, no,
you're just like, cool.
I don't.
I did because again, I'm a good little NPC girl, but I still, I mean, there's a lot of NPCs, and they're not very well translated. So,
Yeah.
like, I was like, I think I remember someone named Graham.
Yeah.
No, I did basically get the gist of it, but it is still weird, because it's just, like, like, it's not like there's a build-up. It's not like we're going to this guy's fortress or something. It's just like, we're going through an unrelated dungeon, and he's just like, sup.
Look,
Yeah,
I realize here I'm making excuses, but I have a limited amount of time to play each week. So
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and like
You gotta play
that's
the game the way that works for you.
yeah, that's a totally like valid
I
way to
can't
play the game.
I can't not talk to every NPC, and if that means that I don't get a lot of sleep, so be it.
Yeah. And like right before this dungeon, we had a dungeon in which we fought a lot of people on the Sandoran side, and they could have had Graham at least show up there and
Yeah,
have
that
the
would've made total
dragon
sense.
and mwahaha and run away, and then that A gives us a better reason to continue on to the nest, and B makes us care who Graham is for at least 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
So you're just like, okay.
Yeah. One thing I do have to appreciate, though, is we're some 8 hours into the game at this point, and we've already checked off like most of the JRPG trope locations. It's almost like disc 1 is the JRPG, and then we're
You're
just going to go
blasting through it.
We're just going to go and tell our own story there on the second half of it. But we got to go to the forest. We got to go to the volcano. We got to go to the old ruins. We got to go to the creepy underground lair. Just check. But
Regular forest, scarier version of scarier forest.
yeah. So when you get over there to Graham, Lavitz catches us up and is like, "You are my dad's best man and the head of the second knighthood, and I'm gonna kill you." The way that I told it to Summer, I was like, "My name is Lavitz Slambert. You have killed my father. Prepare to die."
Yeah, it's basically how it was, yeah.
And
It do be like that.
Graham has some really good lines. Like one of them is like, "Is that the cry of a patriotic knight or a son filled with vengeance?" And Lavitz is like, "Both.
Both,
I'm going to
bitch."
fucking kill you."
His answer, he just looks at you, he's like, yes. And then
Yeah.
It's like, is that supposed to be an own?
And so Graham is like, "Yeah, but look at this cool ass superpower I have," and turns into a green dragoon and then summons Fairbrand. And then we fight. And how was the fight, guys?
Again, we're not at the point in the game where it's hard yet, so trivial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not bad.
Especially because Basil sells pellets, so you can kill Fairbrand in 2 turns with either Rose or Shauna, just using
shit.
their magic attack.
I haven't
You
used
just
one of those
use
things
pellets
yet.
for
What
that?
does a fucking pellet do?
So pellet is a earth attack. It's just your
Oh,
earth
sorry, I was
magic
getting
item.
my item names wrong. Yeah, okay, I know.
I
I
keep
know fucking
like
what that is.
I'm a hoarder in RPGs. I may have talked about this before.
Mhm.
I will pick up an item and then I will just try to hold on to it for dear life because I'm like, what if I need it later? This might be an easy part. What if I need it for a
my
way
God.
harder part?
you should play more
You have
Shin
an
Megami
inventory of
Tensei games.
32. Come on.
You only have
Yeah.
space for 32, and they only cost 10 cents. So
I know, but I can't get over it. Like in frickin' Skyrim, my house is like filled to the brim with chests full of random shit that I'm like, I might need this later for training this skill. Like I just have a chest full of gems that I've either found or stolen, because that game is kleptomania simulator for me.
You know what's something I actually really just now realizing I love about this game? And this has to do with a lot with what Eli is saying. Your inventory that is, what's it called? Consumables, that has a limited inventory, is separate from your key items and separate from your equipment. and terraform your gold. So what I love about that is if you try to open a chest and it does not let you open it because inventory is full, you know nothing important's in there.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like, I'm not saying that elemental damage items aren't useful, because they are, but like in the last dungeon of this disc, for example, I was at maximum inventory even though I was trying to use my shit, and I got to a chest I couldn't open, so I was like, I could run around and fight a bad guy and use an item, but I'd rather just toss something. So I tossed a burn up. I opened the chest, and it's a burn up. But like that was eye opening. That like defined the game for me. I'm like, yeah, look, these consumables, you're always like every chest is in the game is either money, equipment. Either of those is fine because there's no equipment limit or money limit. Or
there's a 255 equipment limit, which is ridiculous.
Well, anyway, it might as well not be there. Or it's a consumable, and if it's a consumable, you're getting more of them constantly, and it's always the same shit. So it's just like, yeah, I'll fucking use a lightning all or a wind all. I'll probably get one later in this dungeon.
Yeah,
Also, in the dungeon, I feel like it tends to give you the items that are gonna be relevant to the boss, because I don't know what elements the boss is gonna be going into the dungeon. That is one reason the 32 limit's a little tough, because you have like 6 fucking elements. I know there's more than that, but 6 that actually have opposites.
Yeah.
So like, if you don't know what element the enemies are, so that means you got to have like 2 of everything at least, and that's 12 items or 18 items. You have 3 of everything. You can't just bring fire items because you don't know all the enemies are going to be weak to fire. That's a little annoying.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Does the elemental, like, if you're using Shayna or Rose, does the item do more damage based on their magic attack?
Their magic attack, yes.
Oh, okay. So it uses the coefficient,
but not their element. So if Shawnee uses Spark Ray, it just does normal Spark Ray damage, but it doesn't give her a bonus for being light.
But it uses the magic coefficient. It uses the magic stat of the character. Okay.
Because that is spells in this game, is using the magic items.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cute.
But this does remind me, the first reusable magic item is in this section. Did you guys find it in the swamp? The magical signet stone?
I think I did.
I did, yes. And then I promptly forgot that I had it.
What does it do again?
What it does is it casts stop on the enemies for 3 turns, and so.
Oh god, that's so good.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Fucking missed it.
I don't have that. No, okay, I gotta go get that.
I forgot it was reusable until you brought it up just now, so I never fucking used it.
But yeah, it's one of the reusables. Most of the other ones are like they like have an X on them or something, but there's also something in the shittily translated item description that will say
it says
say something that's like because it's usually like a attack multi or something.
I think it says repeat is the word it uses.
Yeah, I think it uses repeat. But yeah, the menu is a land of contrasts. It is really difficult. But yeah, back to the fight. So after the fight, Graham says a bit that I really, really like. I'm just going to read it verbatim because it's a really good Graham and Lavit scene, and I love Graham so much. He's probably my favorite underused character in this game. But I'll probably be wrong and love somebody else later, but Graham is up there. So he says, "Nobody could be stronger than your father. That was the only thing I could never conquer. I had admiration for him." And then this part I think is great. He goes, "as a mate and as a friend." So if he says mate and friend, he's not just being like English.
Oh,
that
no.
means
mate doesn't just mean friend. Yeah,
he boned Lavitha's dad. But he goes, but time goes by and it turned into this feeling, this fear from realizing the limits of your ability, this fear that goes nowhere. The only thing you can do is curse yourself for weakness. And Lavit says, "But you couldn't overcome your fear by defecting to Dole. You needed to overcome my father." And Graham's like, "There was an alternative. If only I could obtain a new power, I could be equal to or surpass him. And that was the Dragoon spirit from His Majesty Dole. Now Lavit's live strong.
Had to find
now
the
I
power
can go
to
be with
surpass Metal
Cerebi."
Gear.
And I like it. I like it a lot because, like, I've had an older brother. I've had 2 older brothers. One of them sucks, so he's not in this conversation. The other one, like, me and him were a lot alike. We do a lot of things together, but like he's he's better than me at things. And so knowing like I can always grow up to live in his shadow, or I can do something different to get around him, was a very realistic thing. I didn't summon a dragon and kill a lot of people. I got into video games, but there was like a bit there where like I get into high school and I'm ready to like be me and be free, and everyone's just like, oh hey, it's Michael's little brother, and I'm just like, oh well, like what about video games and shit though? And so yeah, but I really like it. It's kind of clumsily done because all of this happens before and after a single boss fight, but
yep.
Yeah, it's he deserved better than this, because that bit, and like Lavitz does like pick up the thread here later, but I still like the like changing because you can't be better thing. It was cool.
Yeah.
But Rose then is like, well, at least he died now instead of later after his power corrupted him. And I'm just like, Rose, you're cold. You just like
practical but cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of
kind of
course,
what I love about her.
and then of course our green clothed party member becomes the Green Dragoon, and no one saw it coming. And so the entire time I was telling Summer about this playthrough, I was like, yeah, so then we found a Green Dragoon spirit, and the person wearing green clothes in our party had no idea what was going to happen next. But
I feel like as this game goes on, like the first time someone becomes a Dragoon, it's the biggest fucking deal. And and then you meet a second Dragoon, and it's a relatively big deal. And the more it's like every time someone becomes a Dragoon, like the farther it goes on, the more it's just like super nonchalant on the way to do something else. Like, like this one is like a medium big deal, and then the next one is like even less of a thing. And
and then Hashels is literally just like, huh, well, I guess I'm joining the party then.
Yeah. By the time we get to the 7th... Oh, go on.
His happens in between two cities of the map. Yeah. So that's where it happens, just right there.
Yeah, but by the time we get to the 7th one, it's just going to be like, I don't know, this character like went and watched a movie and it made him sad, and that gave them the power of the dragon. Or like,
no, it's even
they're on the way. They're on the way to the bathroom. They're like, hey guys. They're like, they get to the town or something, and they're having an important plot scene, and one of them is just like, hey guys, I really got to take a leak. So he pieces out to go use the restroom, and he comes back and he's a Dragoon. And they're like, what? He's like, yeah, I found a fucking Dragoon stone. I went to go and dry my hands with the air dryer, and I hit the button and a fucking Dragoon stone fell out, and I'm a Dragoon now. And they're like, cool.
So it's almost like that. So you know the side quest I was talking about last time, where you can go to do it right away or when it comes up in the story. That's the last character's Dragoon Stone. And
my gosh.
How you get it? The side quest is you go back to Lahan and you buy it.
That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard, and also it's really good.
It's super good, and like there's more more to it. And I also didn't say who it was, because who it was is a really cool thing. But it's still like the last one you have to get. You're just like, how much for the shiny rock thing?
That is extremely a whole lot like multiple Dragon Quest games, actually, in a way that's very interesting, and I won't go into further, but that makes me laugh and appreciate it.
Yeah. But, so, after the fight, Shauna collapses, and everyone was like, what if it's the poison? And it's like, well, maybe the fact that she collapsed after Rose was like, it's poison in the air, means that it's the poison. Maybe you should have, like, thought of this first.
Maybe.
So instead of making our way back over 3 dungeons, we decide to instead go to Lohan, because it's right up the road. And Maddie really loved Lohan. What did you like the most about this place?
I love Lindsay Lohan. It's a beautiful town. It's a generic JRPG desert town, which usually means it sucks ass and has stupid, like, cliche, like, vaguely Middle Eastern sounding music. But instead the music was really good. And the town, first thing I like about the town, I like how the introductory scene, you're walking into the town and it's a pretty boring screen. Like, it's close up, you're walking down a street, there's like a street vendor there, you're just walking down a fucking road into a town. It's pretty simple. And then after a cutscene happens, it cuts to the next scene. In the next scene, you're in the hospital. And the hospital is also a close-up shot. And you're like, okay, I don't know how I got here, but I just not teleported, of course, but you know what I mean? Between cuts, I went from beginning of a normal-looking beginning of town to normal-looking hospital. And then after you finish being in the hospital, you go to the town proper, and you are somewhere completely different.
It is
and you are in the middle of this deep, labyrinthine, bustling city, and you don't even know how you got there from, like, you don't even know how to get back to the beginning of the town. Yeah. Like, you don't even know, like, how you could possibly get to where they were a second ago in the cutscene. It's really cool geometrically. So, like, okay, so the town's a long, deep hallway. It's a canyon, basically, where the walls are buildings, basically. And there's multiple layers. And what's cool is, if I was thinking that if I was the one making this game, this would have actually been a really clever sort of meta commentary on the way that RPGs are programmed. In this case, they probably were just doing what they thought was cool and not being pretentious assholes about it like I would be. But in you know, traditionally, or one way that a lot of JRPGs are done is that all of the interiors are on one map. Like, you go into a town and you go to one building, and it's like a building, and the inside of it is you're there, and then surrounded by that is just black, you know, just like black is around it. Turns out if you could pan the camera over off screen, you would see the other room hanging out over to the right, surrounded by black. So it just loads up one map with all the interiors inside. In this game, all the interiors are on one map, but it's because it's a cross section.
Yeah, it's a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, basically, and it's super zoomed out, which again is giving me those FF7 vibes, right? Instead of FF8 or 9 or Chrono Cross sort of vibes. It's really cool. So you're on a hallway, and the long, deep canyon hallway has a left side wall of buildings, a right side wall of buildings, and then a front, a in the background, a Z-axis wall of buildings. And if you go in a door on the left or the right or the front, you go to one of 3 separate screens, which is just a giant scrolling cross section. And you never know how to get where you want to go. If you're in one room in the cross section and you see a room right above you with a chest, maybe you go up a ladder to get to that room. Or maybe you go out the door, around the other side of the street, into the right side wall, into a door in that one, go up a ladder, get up on the roof, run all the way around the entire fucking town, go down the ladder, and then do some other bullshit, and that's how you get to that thing. So you have no idea how to get anywhere, and it's great. A lot of the rooms have nothing in them. There's a lot of nothing in this town. Some rooms don't even have, like, an NPC. I just mentioned going on the roof. There's this whole roof thing you can do, which is another angle, top down of the whole, like, upside down shape area, roof area. That serves no purpose. Yeah. You don't even get an item out of it. It is technically a shortcut. It's an alternate way to get from one place to another. But there's also a whole other direction you can go that leads to literally not even an NPC, just nothing. Yeah.
There's also a secret like bookcase wall that opens that takes you down to a fireplace that has a Stardust in it. But if you're not collecting Stardust, it's another like intricate, elaborate maze that ends with nothing, pretty much.
Yep. I definitely got that one. The fireplaces continue to have unique writing for every single fireplace for no discernible reason. Other than, I guess, to get you to make sure you keep checking them for Stardust. Or if you're going to check them off for Stardust anyway, we might as well give you something. So it's just it's a great town. It's a good place. I like being in it. I liked exploring it. The way it all fits together is just really clever. They're doing a lot with the screens. I liked when you're on the right side wall. If you go all the way to the left side of the right side wall, which is to say going down the Z-axis in the basic outline of it, northeast, you could say, assuming that front ways is north, you go through a door on the left side, and now all of a sudden you're in the back wall. Yeah. So you just, like, Paper Mario style, like went from being 2D flat surface on one flat surface to a separate flat surface that was at a right angle to where you just were. And the game doesn't inform you of that. It doesn't say like, oh, you were on the right wall, now you're on the front wall. You just have to piece that together, that's how this area exists.
Yeah. It's good. I love it. There's an NPC that says, as the town continued to grow, we kept making new additions to our shopping complex without paying any attention to like how it all makes sense. And so now it's just this sprawling complex of weirdness.
So it's Houston.
I'm like, yeah, it's definitely Houston.
Yeah, and also there's some interesting angles. If you go all the way down to the ground level, it switches to a side view. Like, if you're on the ground level of, again, this thing that is a long Z-axis hallway, that's how it always is portrayed. Mm-hmm. But on the ground level, when you're going up to the Coliseum or whatever, it's now a side view where it looks like you're just walking down a street from left to right, but you're actually going from back to front, relative to how you normally are perceiving this town. But it's just a nice little zoomed in view, and it's just like, but thinking of how that relates to what you'd seen earlier is just nice little mental challenge, and they're doing a lot of cool stuff with the pre-rendered camera angles. Yeah, so okay, I'm done. It's a great town.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. But yeah, so when we first get there, we go to the hospital. The doctor's like, well, it's dragon poison, and it's poisoned her mind and probably can't be fixed. She's only got a week to live. But if you found the Dragony plant. Yeah, that's the one. That's definitely real. Sign this waiver saying I'm not liable if she dies while you go and find it.
Yeah, that doctor seemed... Are you an unethical quack?
Yeah.
It's really real.
And so he's like, go off and find it. So you explore the town, and that's harder than it should be. And you come across Dabis, and he says he thinks that the Dragony plant is in the back of the dragon shrine. Who'da thunk it? And Rose says that that would be beyond the weird, gross pseudo-wudo that we saw at the Dragon's Nest. And if only we had a Squirtle gun to get past it. And so that means we have to go get that pure water from the dungeon we were just in instead of boiling it ourselves. And on our way out,
you can't just pour scalding hot water on it.
Or walk around it. It's blocking your pre-rendered
path. Burn it up
path.
with fire, like Jesus.
Right? It's blocking your pre-rendered path, but not like the actual geometric
you could
path.
Totally get around it. Yeah,
but
you don't have to use the pre-rendered path. It's okay.
We'll understand. But so on your way out,
take the path not pre-rendered.
I took the path less had hit detection on it.
Yeah.
the collision map.
On your way out, you buy a water skin from a street merchant who is greedy and wants $1 bajillion for it. So you have
It's apparently an amazing bottle.
So you have a tiny little haggling mini game. How much did you guys end up paying for your water skin?
Nothing.
Oh, no, nice. Good job.
Nice.
Thank you. It wasn't much of a mini game much as
you just keep saying no.
I'm not going to pay that.
I was worried it would do the thing where if I said no enough, he'd be like, okay, fine, you can't have it, you know? Mm-hmm. So I chickened out, and I think I ended up paying probably one amount more than nothing, which is either 100 or perhaps 10.
It was 100.
It was
here's the thing. 100 is fucking nuts, right? So once it got down to 100, I was like, I'm a little worried if I say no again, I'll not get it actually at all. So, okay, fine, I'll just pay 100. Who gives a shit? But then the funny thing is the writing, he's like, hey, nice, awesome, good doing business with you. And he's like laughing to himself like, ha, what a rube, I made him pay $100 for a bottle. I'm like, dude, 100 is nothing. You did not get me. Fuck off.
Yeah. This is, I think the free is supposed to be an Easter egg. I know it because I've done it for forever, because Dart is like, lower it one more time, and then it gives it the 100, and he's like, this is as low as I can go. It seems like it's trying to make you buy it for 100, but then just saying no one more time, and so it'll give it to you.
Yeah, I think the option was ...
Yeah, it was like ...
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I chose that because I was like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And he's just like, fine, just fucking take it. And I'm like, well, clearly this was a very expensive and precious bottle that you just handed to me.
Yeah, it's great. So, yeah, and then if you're like me, you stop and go get a bunch of Stardust, bringing your total to 14 so far. And
I have 4.
Yeah, and once you get 10, you can go get your first item from Martel, which is a physical ring, which gives you plus 50% HP, which is pretty dope, but kind of...
Stardust.
It's kind of overkill at this point, though, right?
Yeah, that's a fucking lot. Jesus.
It's.
But it would be good for Rose.
When I put it on Lavitz, he had 660 HP.
What the fuck?
Completely unneeded at this point. But yeah,
it helps with his terrible defense.
But yeah, if you actually do it right here where I'm talking about it, it sucks because you don't have the shortcut back to Bale and you have to go through everything. I got it after the 7th fort. I just forgot to talk about it until now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so we get our water and we spray Sudowoodo and we make our way into the second dungeon-y dungeon of this playthrough, which has puzzles and lore and minecarts. Oh my, what did you guys think about this dungeon? Eli, I know you were like really affected by it in the host only, so give us a lowdown. What's this dungeon like?
Okay, wait, I have to actually remember which dungeon that is.
This one's the Shirley Temple.
Oh,
it's non-alcoholic.
Yes, the delicious Shirley Temple. No, I thought it was really interesting. The chests, like,
yeah.
You find a chest, you go over to it, and you open it, and it's like, haha, suckers, there's nothing here, you fucking thieves. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, it's really kind of messing with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you keep going through. There's some puzzles to get through. I looked at a walkthrough to figure out what the number puzzle was because I was like, I ain't going back through there.
Right.
So
is it the same every time? I thought it was randomized.
Yes, it is the same every time. It's 352.
Oh, I thought it was.
For those of you who are struggling with it, 352 is the code to get through Shirley Temple.
Yeah. It's really easy. You just ride the minecart and it tells you. So
yeah.
And I wasn't going to bother with that. The minecarts were cool. They were neat.
Yeah.
And there were some puzzles to like. There's some stairs that you'll climb up them, but then they like turn into a slide. And you just slide your way back down. It's like the super fun happy slide in Simpsons Treehouse of Horror when they go to Mr. Burns' house when he's a vampire.
I was like, I can't wait to be a huge piece of shit and go beat this boss. And then I was like, oh fuck, now I'm falling down all these stairs.
It keeps happening.
Okay, it did keep happening because I kept trying different numbers or stashes.
Yeah.
Did you see all of Drake's keep out notices? Did you read all of them across the dungeon?
I don't remember if I did. I read a couple. They're great.
They're great.
I made sure to open every chest that I could because I loved reading those.
Yeah. They're good. These are the best empty chests until Trails in the Sky just takes it to another level. Yeah, so story-wise, when we first show up, there's a sculpture of a white dragon, and it resonates with our Dragoon spirits and glows white. And I wonder if we'll ever have a party member who wears white so that the Dragoon spirit can
Can't imagine
out.
Who.
This is the part where I was like, okay, Dragoonness is becoming like the value of being a Dragoon is drastically going down due to overproduction. Like I was like, we literally just got a Dragoon in the last dungeon. Okay, fine. I guess
it's like getting a Mega Stone and then shoving that Pokemon immediately into the box and never using them again.
Yeah, what I do like about it is the game wants to be a game in which using your Dragoon spirit or not is like part of the main gameplay loop. So they kind of got to get you all Dragoons as soon as possible so that they can explore that gameplay space. And it's just like storyline wise, it's like, whoa, Dart had this for 18 years and he doesn't know, and he has this huge cutscene, and oh look, I found one.
Yeah, like it really would make more plot sense. Like if this was like a movie, if this was like a movie or an anime, like you'd have one character who like, you know, never becomes a Dragoon for the whole story and then very dramatically becomes one right at the end, and it's a really epic moment because they're finally a Dragoon. But in this, it's like, yeah, like this is part of the game's mechanics you're not really playing the game unless these characters are Dragoons, so we kind of need to get them to be Dragoons.
It's like walking down the street with a friend and they're like, hey, I found $1. And I'm like, hey, I found a dragon spirit.
Exactly.
I just wish that they would have introduced like Dragoons a little bit more progressively for other characters to make it more meaningful. Like maybe in the second, because it's like it's so unnecessary in the first. It's like, do you need everybody to be a Dragoon there? No, you actually don't, because like it's balanced insofar that it's not actually not too difficult without everybody being a Dragoon.
Yeah,
especially Shauna, because we're not using her anyway. She's not in the party either way, so why not just, actually, wouldn't it have been cool if Shauna was never a Dragoon for, like, the whole fucking game, and we're not using her anyway, because she sucks, battle-wise, and then towards the end of the game, she has, like, an epic character moment and becomes a Dragoon, and then she becomes fucking awesome?
Yeah.
That'd be cool, and then you, like, put her back in your party, even though she's half the level of everybody else.
Well, that's a nice thing is
or
that
she actually gained 10 levels.
Yeah, she's not gaining any experience right now because she's sick and not with us. But, like, technically your entire party is with you in other parts of the game, even if you're not using them. So they still gain XP, which is great.
Mm-hmm. It's dope. More games need to do that. Like, especially, like, the more you do that, the more you can give a huge party, and it's silly to me that Pokemon took so long for that to be common. But like, if you have a small party, like switching them out, I think is great. But like, if your party is, I don't know, 892 different monsters, it's kind of great that the EXP share helps out with that. But,
I really like being able to switch on the fly too. Not that I ever have really, but like the fact that I have that option and like I don't have to go to a specific NPC or a specific area to just switch out my party is so
Xenogears.
Yeah.
Xenogears is extreme. Real. It's like you have to go to a one NPC in one fucking place to switch party members. Like, come on, at least let me switch at a safe point. Jesus.
Yeah. Like, they then add in that functionality after it matters. And like, I would have loved this from the first time we got our fourth person and had to make party choices.
Yeah.
But so not to give too much away, but in the famous words of the now defunct Telltale Games, Shauna will remember that, Maddie. Remember what you just said, and keep it in the back of your mind for 2 more discs. But
okay, I'm not surprised. But point is, she's already a Dragoon. So,
so yeah, we make our way through the dungeon, and we finally get to meet Drake himself, and not the super famous one, the less famous bandit one. No relation.
We tell Drake he's going to pay for his crimes.
What was that?
We tell Drake he's going to pay for his crimes.
Yes. And so he's like, oh, you're after the treasure. And we're like, what treasure? We're actually herbalists trying to just find a flower. We're like, also, all the chests were empty, so we didn't even think there was any treasure here. We're literally just looking for the flower. And he's like, that's stupid, let's fight. So we have a boss fight. And I really like this boss fight. It's really easy, but I really like it. What did you guys think about the boss fight?
It was really interesting. I didn't expect all the extra shit that he threw out, but I learned how to deal with it relatively okay. Like, it did get a little difficult for me a couple of times because I missed my attacks on the bombs, and I'm really, really, really bad at additions. And I hadn't gotten the hang of Rod Typhoon yet.
Yeah.
Which becomes a bigger problem later on.
This is one time when I was extremely happy to be on the Shauna train. Because those bombs are really trivial when you can just magic them away in one move, in one turn.
Yeah.
But I'm a hoarder, and so I was like, no, I'm going to need these items.
Eli, this is an intervention. Not that the game ever gets hard. It is definitely balanced around sucking at additions and not knowing how to use magic items. But the easy mode is use magic items.
Okay, I'm gonna absolutely start doing that because like that's definitely like it's way easier to sit there and mash a button instead of trying to hit those fucking additions. But yeah, I did use a couple of them on the bombs, like when the bombs and the wire were up. And I made sure to use Rose. Rose has an AoE attack in her Dragoon form, so I used that as well, and that was really great.
She also, if you have the Rose Dart Lavitz core party member that you pretty much keep for the whole game, and you don't have Shauna, Rose has the second highest magic attack. Maybe second or third, but it's freakishly high, so you can use her to be your mage, and it works really well.
Yeah, it's not remotely Shauna level, but it's better than anybody else. Let's put it this way: if Lavitz, if the other two, if you really want to use a magic item, but the other two characters just have to do something else because it's important, like maybe Dart wastes his turn because someone really needed healing, and then Rose really wastes her turn because maybe you really needed to do something else with Rose, and then you get to Lavitz, and Lavitz is the only one left, and you're like, I guess I'll use magic item with Lavitz. You might as well have just had him defend.
Yeah, just
because it is going to do so little damage. Like, I did that a few times. I was just like, I really need to use this magic item because I need to do the AoE, but the only one available is Lavitz. Oh, well, surely it'll do some amount of damage. And then I was like, well, that was a waste.
Did you notice that all of the mobs and the bosses in this dungeon were Earth? So that Lavitz, you were like, ooh, Lavitz is cool. Let me use his Dragoon. He actually seems like he's strong because he's getting type advantage. But when he no longer has type advantage, he sucks really bad.
Nice. I did not notice that.
But yeah, they're all Earth, so that he
his second
rocks.
magic move is amazing, so I always just use that one.
Yeah, he's basically. You end up using Lavitz as your support character because his Rose Storm is legit.
Yeah, his buff kicks ass.
Yeah, but you get him to level 1 so that you can use it, and then you get him out of Dragoon as fast as possible so that you can go back and use his high physical attack.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah. So after the boss fight, Drake dies and is like, I must protect Shirley, and we're like, who? And then that's when our ghost GF shows up.
He surely must protect her.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm so clever.
And so she right away recognizes Rose and is like, oh, you must still be on your sad journey since we last met. And I'm just like, damn, Rose, like, all we know about you is that you've been sad for a really long time.
Me too.
But, right? Relatable content.
Yeah. I am also on a sad journey.
But we asked Shirley, like, hey, you got any Dragoni plant? And she's like, that's fake. And
fake news.
And she's like, but I do still have my Dragoon spirit, so take it, and when you resonate it with your own, it'll be healing light, so you can heal Shauna, because surely she won't resonate it with herself. And yeah,
that joke will get funnier every time.
It won't, but the fact that it doesn't get funnier makes it funnier every time.
Yeah.
But and she's like, but
to
first,
be determined.
but first you have to answer my riddles 3, and she's not joking, but you can call her Shirley. See, that one was like 2 levels because I cut out the Shirley you must be joking part of it.
Yeah.
I just was referencing the joke.
I like how he's like taking you through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
Now that you've explained it, it's funny.
Yeah. So my favorite thing about unfunny jokes is then explaining them as if they're like the funniest thing in the world and the person just didn't get it. And that therein lies the humor that I go for, which is why I will never be a professional comedian, because nobody else likes that.
Well, here's the thing. I like to do that. I did that a lot with my ex, and they didn't think it was funny when I did that. But I thought it was extremely funny, so I would continue doing it because it's about my enjoyment and not their enjoyment.
Yeah. Yeah. Your humor should be 100% selfish. That's what it's about. But yeah, so now we have this game's not a battle boss fight, and it was pretty popular at the time. There's like a series of like hidden mini bosses in Final Fantasy VII that do it, and I think there's one in Final Fantasy VI. I don't remember, but like all throughout this era, there was usually one boss fight in which you defended and did something else. Which is really cool. But for this one, Shirley asks you questions, and most of them are obvious that you can't get wrong, and the other ones are even more obvious that you shouldn't get wrong. If you get them wrong, she attacks you. But you should be smart and know what the correct answers are. So she asks Dart if he'll pick Shauna over the Black Monster, and asks Lavitz if he values the life of one or many, and if he'll protect people even if it's in direct opposition to his king. And both of them, Dart definitely picks Shauna, and that's how he doesn't get hit. And Lavitz picks to protect one and not many, and that's how he doesn't get hit. And then she asks Rose what life means, and Rose has one answer that's not a real answer. She avoids the question, and the other answer is nothing but sacrifice, which is sad.
Yeah,
Rose is sad. That's why her theme that we hear in a second when Drake is dead is Rose's theme instead of Reminiscence, and it's another sad piano theme.
I like how they're delaying actually characterizing Rose and explaining what her deal is, but like they're like, look, we're not getting to what Rose's deal is yet. Maybe we'll get to it in disc 2. Maybe we'll get to it in disc 3. But because we're not there yet, we're still just going to characterize her in little bitty ways. So it's like you're sort of picking up what her deal is secondhand, and I like that.
I like it a whole lot. It's way better than like the announcement that Lavitz has at the beginning, and he's just like, I am Lavitz Slamebird. I am a great person. I am a knight, and I am here to help you.
Yeah. And like in this scene, like this is the first of, or not the first, but this is one of multiple scenes where you run into a new character, and Rose is like, oh yeah, I know them.
Yeah.
I also, I also kind of get tired of like the Lulu effect that I call on characters, like. They're moody, they're dark, and that's their shtick. You know, I like how, like, she kind of, when she says sacrifice, I'm like, oh, okay, that gives us a little bit more about Rose that otherwise maybe we wouldn't have paid attention to.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, easily dismissed, you know?
She's not just being emo.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, she's, like, tortured and not just my parents didn't hug me and so I'm going to hang out and wear all black.
Right. She's not Michael. You're right.
She's a big titty goth GF, but she's not, but she's more than a big titty goth GF.
Yes. Yeah. So, and so she gives us the Dragoon spirit and shows us how to use it by saving Drake. And then she says the theme of the game, Dart, sometimes staring at the truth brings pain, but you'll be able to overcome it. I'm really glad that I told you that this was the theme at the beginning, because not just being able saying these lines and waiting for you to put it together at the end of the game would be excruciating. But speaking of excruciating, we're almost to the third dungeon of the week. But so then Shirley passes on from this world, having completed her destiny and whatnot, and so we head back to Lohan. And when we get there, holy crap, Shauna is the White Silver Dragoon. I didn't see that coming, especially not on the cover of this game. Yeah, like
the twist.
Like the cover of the game is Dart, Rose, and Shauna in their Dragoon forms, and so this is the least surprising bit of the whole game. So the doctor is like, holy shit, it's the second Dragon campaign and I get to see it. That's so cool. Hopefully you can end the war soon. But first, would you like to play some mini games?
Small aside here. Really funny, fucking funny line here. So the doctor, when Rose first becomes Dragoon, and she's all like, wow, I'm Dragoon, or not Rose, I mean Shauna, and she's all glowy white. And then everyone takes out their Dragoon orbs, and they're all glowing. And the doctor goes, excuse me, it's too bright, and I cannot see. Can you do something about it? Like, they're having this epic moment of, like teamwork bonding, and they're like, yeah,
like,
and he's like, can y'all keep it down? Can you not?
This is a hospital.
Yeah, I like the doctor, and they're like, oh, sorry, we're making a scene. Whoops.
Yeah. it's good. But yeah, he's like, hey, go play some mini games and fight in our martial arts tournament. So,
and also he literally, you already said, he literally is like, you need to end the war as soon as possible. Also, go play mini games.
Yeah. But yeah, so we go down to the fighting tournament, and Dart doesn't even ask anyone. He just signs up and then turns to Lavitz. He's like, Lavitz, go easy on me. And Lavitz is like, I'm at war, so I really can't stop to do a fighting tournament.
Can't stop, won't stop.
And Rose is like, we're in a hurry, and also I could kill everyone here by blinking, so not going to do it. And Dart's like, oh, you guys make some really good points. See you in half an hour. I'm going to go join the tournament.
Real quick, the person doing the signups has wonderful dialogue. He goes, hey, if any of you people out there are live fast, die young types and want to test your courage, step up and fill out the application. My advice to those of you who are feeble cowards or have cold feet, don't register. I guarantee you will die. So apparently this tournament is to the death.
but you face people who lost last year, so...
Yeah, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, it's like, hey,
maybe it's just a really good salesman. Because they're feeble, they'll die.
Yeah. Yes, it's like, hey,
or because they're cowards, they'll die.
He's like, hey, are you a fucking idiot with a death wish? And me specifically, am like, yes, please, let's.
But yeah, so Dart joins, and Lavitz is like, hey, first off, don't die. Second off, don't do the whole Power Ranger thing in public. It's kind of like a bad idea, and in retrospect, that's a great idea, but we'll get there. So when we're down in like the bullpen area, we meet my favorite Master Roshi character, Haschel, and I can see that he's the second best Master Roshi character, but he's still my favorite. And
he's really good.
Yeah, and his name is Haschel, and he traveled with Dart back when Dart was on his revenge quest, and because Haschel was traveling looking for his daughter. I think he actually says that later, but it's no big deal. But they traveled together in the past. So they bond and are like, hey bro, what's up, bro? And just palling around having a good old time, and they both are like, yeah, I'll see you in the finals because all these other people suck. And then the boss fights happen, and they're pretty much nothing to write home about, and they all have an elemental weakness, and I all used an item, and they all died. But the archer, I do say, is cool, and his main thing is he tells you how cool Shauna could have been, but no. Like he gets to target like your weak points, and then he has like this cool William Tell move where he throws up 3 apples and like hits you in the face with them with an arrow, and like everything is cool, and Shauna just goes, hut, pew.
Yep.
One arrow, and that's it.
It's disappointing.
Yeah. So after your fights, you ask Haschel if he's ready for the final, and Haschel's like, well, I guess we can still travel together because I got my ass kicked. And then this dude Loib comes in.
What an intimidating name!
Oh God,
it's so good. Loib is so good. So his real name is Lloyd, but just like this game is like Bart becomes Dart, Lloyd becomes Loib.
So I misread this scene a lot because I'm apparently still 12 and can't pick up on very simple narrative cues. When Haschel shows up, I was like, oh, this is the thing where you run into a random dude and then low-key he's going to be a party member later. But then Loib shows up and I'm like, oh no, I guess Haschel was a fake out. Loib is obviously going to be a party member. Apparently, I didn't notice he has silver hair.
I immediately was like, fucking Sephiroth over here.
Well, the thing is, I had heard of Loib because he's a popular character. So whenever people talk about Legend of Dragoon, they talk about Loib. But I didn't remember in what context he was talked about. So I was like, oh, he's a very beloved character. He must be one of the party members. You know what I mean?
No.
I didn't think that there was another reason he could be a beloved and important character.
Nope. Just wait to the next dungeon.
Well, I legit was just like, oh, he's going to be a party member. But then later, Haschel, spoiler, joins the party. And I was like, oh, never mind, I guess.
Yeah. And so, before the match, Loib comes in and says, I dedicate this match to what fate has in store for us, which is totally spooky and ominous, but also really uncalled for now that we're in the future and we know what he's talking about. I hate him. So
he sucks ass. Fuck you, Loib.
Yeah. So in the fight, Lloyd counter animes Dart and it's completely unwinnable. Like, it doesn't even bring up the miss thing when your sword whooshes. He just says too slow, and it's
You're
great.
too slow.
Yeah. Zeta slow. Sorry, that's World Ends With You. I don't even know if any of you guys have played it.
I haven't played that yet. I'll play the Switch version though for sure.
Yeah. We should play it on the podcast. It's pretty great. But so after the fight, the announcer's like, well, Lloyd got first, and Dart got second, and Haschel got third, and he calls Haschel Master of the Rouge Art, which I literally only thought wasn't Rogue this time around. My 50th time playing this game.
My brain fucking auto-corrected it to Rogue, and then I saw Rouge, and I was like, well, maybe his makeup's real on point.
Yeah, or it's because Rouge is like a purplish red, and if only there was a purplish red element, clothing style, Dragoon spirit that we'd be accomplishing at the end of this thing.
That's not gonna. No.
Yeah.
No, surely not.
Surely not.
Surely not.
No.
Yeah. Also, Maddie, you should have known Lloyd wasn't a party member because he's not wearing color coded.
Oh no,
he's not color coded to an element.
Oh right. Well, also his hair is white, but we already have another character who's that element. So yeah, it's redundant. I should have. I was just thinking that. I was like, yeah, he doesn't fit in. Maybe that's why he's bad. He just wants to be a party member, but they won't let him because there's no room. They're like, sorry, we already have it. We already have a silver element.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you gotta change your colors, man.
Yeah,
you can't sit with us.
Three's company, four's crowd.
Yeah. So at the end, he's like, Dart and Haschel are like, wow, that was really good. And he's like, don't worry, one day, Dart, you're going to get stronger, and we'll fight again, and we'll have our true match. Same with you, Haschel, you're going to get even stronger. And then Lavitz comes in and is like, whoa, dude, you were so great. Whenever the war is over, we should totally have a fight since I'll be allowed. And Lloyd is like, I'd fucking wreck you, scrub. And Lavitz is like, point taken. You're probably right, but let's fight next time we meet anyways. And Lloyd is like, I'll think about it. And
Lavitz is such a good boy. He's just like, okay, no, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, he's like,
but I still wanna.
He's like, you're making some good arguments.
Yeah, and so Dart is like, hey, Haschel, come see my friends. And Haschel is like, you have friends? Now this I gotta see. And finally getting Dart back for all the times he said that same shit about Shauna. And so then when Dart shows up, there's a lot of really cute scenes. I know we're going to want to talk about the end of it.
Scenes.
Yeah, I know we're going to want to talk about the ending a lot, so I'm going to skip over them. But basically, Shauna is like fawning over Dart, and Dart is not picking up on it. So Haschel steps in and is like, "Oh, well, obviously she was talking about me."
He's giving eyes to Lavitz the whole time. He's just like, "Oh, Lavitz is so beautiful and great, and I love him." And I want to be with him forever.
Haschel joins once again. Haschel joins the group and immediately understands what is happening.
Yeah, because so. Lavitz is the best wingman Shauna could ever ask for because he risks death to help her out. And so he goes over and he's like, hey, hey, Dart, I have a huge crush on Rose. I want to take Rose to all of these mini games so we can have time together. You take Shauna so she won't be bored and y'all can go on all these mini games and have time together. And Rose is like, you fucking touch me and I'll kill you. And he's like,
Rose's reaction.
Just go with it.
She just fucking socks him.
Yeah. It's so good.
He's like, Rose, please. And then that's it.
And Dart's like, what do you mean take Shauna? And Haschel's like, don't worry, I got it. And he takes Shauna to walk off. And Lavitz is like, Master Haschel. And he's like, look, if Dart can't make up his fucking mind about her, I'll just take Shauna. And he's just like, yet again, Dart, pay the fuck attention. So, then you have a minigame carnival. I think there's like 6 minigames. I just threw stuff at the chipmunks at the very beginning because I was in a hurry to get through it. But, I
did the what's so I tried the dodging puzzle and it's too hard because of input lag.
It's hard.
It's hard in general too.
I cheated at the what's wrong with this room puzzle by taking a picture of the screen.
The fact that I didn't even think of doing that shows how fucking stupid I am.
Well, I didn't do it the first time, and I was
duh.
yeah. I didn't do it the first time, and then I was like, wait a minute, I have my phone right here.
Yeah.
You're like, hell yeah, this is the future. I don't have to, like, in 2000, this was like a big deal where you're like, all right, well, let me mentally take note. But now in the future, you're just like, camera phone.
Well, yep. So, and I bought enough tickets to get a Healing Rain.
Yeah, that's
because that's
I spent $600 on a Healing Rain because Healing Rains are great.
That was what I did. Yeah. Actually, I ended up spending $800 because I wasn't paying enough attention.
Yeah. Here's the thing about this carnival. They're doing the whole Carnival of Wonders trope that's in a lot of games, maybe not starting with Chrono Trigger, but very famously done in Chrono Trigger. These minigames are all fucking terrible.
Yeah, they're bad.
And they're not all terrible across the board. Some of them are kind of fun. The one where you have to throw the balls at, like, the monkeys and dodge theirs is kind of fun, actually. It's like a really bad shmup, but it was cute. I like that you can knock over the scenery.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The rewards are horrible.
Yeah.
You get three
whole tickets.
I played every single minigame because that's how I roll. And I thought, what if there's a good prize? Every single minigame costs 1 ticket to play, and you win 3 if you win. And that's a net gain of 2 tickets, which, mind you, these tickets do not cost a lot of money. And the main thing is, the minigames, none of them are trivial.
No.
None of them are
They're all
easy.
hard.
They are all either straight up hard, or at least, like, require a decent amount of fucking effort and time. So, like, you are not guaranteed to actually win. So it's a net gain of 2 if you even fucking win.
Yeah.
I did win all of them because I'm stubborn. The dodging one turns out the second obstacle is insanely hard, and the rest of them are not that hard. If you can get past the second one, you're pretty much good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The timing on that one's really tricky because of, not because of the input lag, although that's part of it, but also because of the really weird hitboxes.
Yeah.
It is really cute after you fail one, like after you play it for the first time and then you fail, Shauna like encourages you. She's like, well, that one was really hard anyway. And
yeah, I really like the dialogue, actually.
Yeah, that was really neat. And I almost wanted to go to every minigame to see what she'd say about it. But at the same time, I was like, no, I got shit to do. It's already late. I'm tired. I got to get through this. So
yeah, well, you're a reasonable person.
Yeah. So, yeah, after the afterwards, Lavitz is like, so how was your date? And Dart's like, what's a date? And Lavitz is like, head in his hands, completely annoyed at this point. But then Dart finally...
I'm trying to get you to be heteronormative, Dart. Come on.
But Dart finally admits how heteronormative he is, and it kind of like makes us all make sense, because the whole time we're like, how dumb are you, Dart? But he admits he's not dumb. He knows what's going on. But as soon as the war is over, he's going to go back to killing the black monster, and so he doesn't want to get involved with Shauna because he doesn't want to take her with her on his revenge quest, and it would suck even worse if he like fell for her and then had to leave her back in Celeste. So he's not completely dumb about it. He's just mostly dumb about it, and still isn't letting Shauna get any autonomy. But
Yep.
But Lavitz says he reminds him of Graham and how his revenge didn't solve anything. Like the war's still on. He still doesn't have a dad. He's still Lavitz, and the revenge didn't help. So the person he's looking for is not from the past. You should be looking for the present and the future, which is another summary of the game's theme. And
then he has one of my all-time favorite lines.
Yeah. He goes, for this advice, I'll accept a drink. Have a drink with me and bail when the war ends. He's like, I know you didn't ask for this, but you have to pay me for it.
I am 100% going to pull that. Like next time a friend of mine is like in need, but not so in need that this would be like rude, lightly in need, I will definitely give them some mediocre to good advice and then be like, okay, since I gave you that advice, you have to buy me a drink. And they'll be like, I didn't agree to this. I didn't agree to this exchange.
Yeah. So, when, we decide to leave, and that we've done good, and we should go see if Albert needs us in bail. But then a knight comes in with not 1, not 2, but 3 arrows sticking out of him and a spear. And he just comes into town. He's like, oh shit, it's Lavitz. I'm glad I didn't die already. Were you saying something, Rizzo?
I was gonna say, because he was already dead. Like, I saw that, and I was just like, oh, cool. All right, so this this is gonna be a really short plot.
Yeah. Yeah, and so he comes in and is like, hey, Lavitz, I'm glad that I got to you, so my death won't be in vain. But Albert has been captured in Helena, and Bale is occupied, and we're kind of about to completely lose the war. So Lavitz like flies off into a rage and is about to storm out, and then Haschel like ninja flips from off screen, just comes in and decks Lavitz so hard that he falls down.
Completely fucking owns it. It's hilarious. Again, this game loves it when things fly in from off screen.
Yeah. It's so good. And so he knocks Lavitz out so that he can stop and use his head. And so Haschel then gathers some info about the situation, sees that Albert gave himself into captivity so that the people of Basel would be spared. And Lavitz is like, yeah, I'm sorry, I flew off the handle. I just was so whooped up from having killed a dragon. I thought I could do anything. So if we're not just going to storm Helena and get Albert back, what are we going to do? And Haschel's like, no, that's a good idea. I just wanted you to have your head on your shoulders. So let's go storm Helena. And so, Dart asks, well, what about your quest to find your daughter? He's like, I've been looking for 20 years. What's a civil war in 20 years? Let's go and save the day. And now we have a purple party member, and I wonder if that will ever possibly come up and be color-coded with the boss of a dungeon from now.
Probably not.
So we get to Helena, and we see... Oh, and when we leave to go to Helena, I remember that they teleported you there, but they don't. But they do open up a second route that you go down, and so the world map becomes a little less backtracky at this point. But
yeah, it's like turns out Helena was right over there.
Yeah. So we already did the Pokemon where we made our loop around, and now we're back at Victory Road that was back in our hometown. So in Helena, we see Freugle up on the roof, and he says that Clokey's order was to keep Albert alive until sunrise of this upcoming day, and so he's just about to kill him for funsies, and then he also says that his promise to not kill the people of Bale was just a lie to get Albert to come willingly, and then Albert says, "Ugh, I'm vexed."
I also love how Freugle is just like, I want to kill him so bad, but I can't yet. He's like so annoyed that he can't kill this guy.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Clokey was just like, look, you gotta wait until sunrise. It'll look perfect. I'll have the camera. It'll look so good. We have to shoot the scene at sunrise. And so we're going to only work for 15 minutes a day over the next 3 weeks to shoot the scene, and everything will be great.
It's going to be one take. It's going to be fine. Just rehearse your fucking lines, okay?
Yeah.
Just like...
If you fuck it up, we have to come back tomorrow. But, so he also says that Clokey only wants Albert's body, so the rest of everything doesn't really matter. And then one of the mooks comes in and is like, "Hey, everybody's here, and they're going to kill you." And Freugle is like, "I really don't have any empirical evidence that I'm not as strong as these other people. I'll take them and Albert both at sunrise."
Yeah.
Yep. And so yeah, now we get to the other half of this dungeon. How did everyone like Helena 2, Helena Handbasket?
Good one. It's a good one. I liked it some the first time, and I liked it the second time. I liked how they had some dumb contrived reason to block off the shit you already did, and an equally dumb contrived reason to go and do some different shit. Literally, it's, hey, that elevator that didn't work the first time, now it works. Yeah. Also, that elevator that did work the first time, now it doesn't. That's literally it. So they make you go a different way. Although you can backtrack a little bit, and I did, because I was wondering if things were going to be any different, and turns out they weren't, and the chests were still open, and I just wasted some time. But I did get some XP, so, whatever.
Yeah. And then also the room where you went in earlier, and you're like, ooh, there's 9 people in here, I can't do it. You now walk in, you're like, I'm level 10, bitches, what's up?
Yep, absolutely.
And yeah, so I think the added bit of the elevator puzzles is okay, but nothing crazy awesome. It's thematic, and I really like the feel of this dungeon more than playing this dungeon.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, but it's just a dramatic beat in between to build up to what's about to happen. That's all it's there for.
Yeah. And so, partway through, they drop us into a Rancor pit, and we have to fight a Rancor to escape, or just put it to sleep if you got the sachet from the screen before. And this fight is pretty easy, especially if you put it to sleep. And
I couldn't pick up the sachet because I couldn't bring myself to drop anything, so I had to do the fight normally.
Oh my god! See, that's a problem.
yeah, I know.
Use your items.
I'll do it. All right. Talk to me.
This is the part where the game starts getting hard for me and Shauna. This battle, even if you put the Rancor to sleep, it only sleeps for like half the battle, and then it wakes up, and it didn't. I don't think I game overed a single time this week, but boy, did I come close many, many times, starting with now and continuing on every boss after this one. It's rough.
Yeah, but so after the fight, Shauna feels some air blowing in through the rocks that are less pre-rendered than the other ones to tell you that there's a word there. And so you blow it up and get through it and make your way out of there. And where was it in my notes? So Dart and Lavitz have a JRPG Bros fist bump, and they run out, and Shauna's bummed, and Haschel's like, "What's up?" And she's like, "They're so natural with each other, and I can tell that Dart is hiding something, and he's treating me like a little sister and not saying anything." And Haschel is like, "Don't worry, like it'll be okay." And then
this problem will go away soon.
Yeah, and so then Dart is like, "Hey, Shauna, what was something wrong? Why are you standing around by this corpse of a Rancor?" And she's like, "Nothing." And you follow. So you so you make it to the top of the dungeon, and it's getting light out now. And Freugel's like, "Well, looks like Albert, it looks like you're going to get your wish. When I kill you, the war will end. And isn't everything you wanted was to end the war? So it's going to end, and Dole's going to reign, and everything's going to be great." And then Albert says it, and we've all thought about it. "I am vexed."
I'm vexed.
And so then Freugel starts to monologue, and Shauna does the coolest thing she's done all game, probably coolest thing she will do all game, and she arrows him in the face from off screen to shut him up.
It was so fucking good. I love Arrow from off screen. Arrow from off screen is the true hero of this video.
He really is. So we have another boss fight with him, and it's almost the exact same as last time. He just has named mooks instead of nameless mooks, but they're mooks nonetheless, and they go down quickly. Did you guys have any problems with this Freugel?
Not particularly.
You know, it's just whining about how the game's hard now. I think even with Sean, I'm pretty sure I wrecked this guy relatively easily, yeah.
Yeah. He's not bad. But, yeah, so when you win, Lavitz gets the anime finisher, and he just impales Frugal on his spear. He's not taking any chances of him coming back. Yeah. He just like, "You're gonna fucking die, you fat tub of lard." And so now the best scene in the game happens, and if you are just listening along, you need to watch the scene on YouTube. There are a bajillion cuts of it. It is so good. I'll probably will put a link to one of the clips in the show notes.
The problem is the name of any of the clips spoils what happens in said clip.
Yeah, so you listen to us first, and then go and watch it, because it's a beautiful scene. Yeah, but so off screen we hear Albert scream, and this is a in battle engine cutscene, like the one with the snake and the one where Dart transformed and stuff. And so Albert screams, and you look over, and Clokey is like, "Kali Ma," and pulling a moon gem from Albert's back. And Lavitz is pissed, as you would be, so he transforms into a Dragoon, and some kick-ass music comes on, and it's super triumphant, and he's flying over to kill Clokey, but Clokey pulls out a giant flaming sword from his cloak and just unceremoniously kills Lavitz dead. Just stabs him right through the heart.
He also killed my heart dead.
Yeah. So last night, after my raid, I was telling my friends that I had to go play Legend of Dragoon because I had to finish it for our podcast today. And my friend Brandon, shout out to Brandon, I love you. goes, "Oh, cool. How's Lavitz? How's he doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, he's great. I love him." This was before I had killed Lavitz, and now all I can do is picture myself as evil Coop in front of a mirror from Twin Peaks going, "How's Lavitz? How's Lavitz? How's Lavitz?" So
Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
Like, I was just like fucking shocked.
Devastated?
Devastated, shocked. I didn't know that they were gonna do. I was like, he's a main character. He's not gonna die. He's gonna be fine. And then like he has this tender moment with Dart where they hold hands and they interlock fingers, and it reminded me. Well, it reminded me too of spoilers for Sailor Moon. And I apologize if you guys are like really like hoping to see this, but in the very last season of Sailor Moon Stars, all of the Senshi fucking die. They all die, except for Sailor Moon. But in the anime, Uranus and Neptune have this like incredibly touching moment where they're dying together, and you know they're kind of far away from each other, so they're like trying to reach out for each other's hands and like scooching closer to each other and like finally touch hands as they die. And it reminded me of that, and I'm just like,
yeah.
My heart.
Outside of Final Fantasy VII and Eris dying, I think that Lavitz is probably one of like the most historically well-known like video game deaths ever.
I'm so glad I never knew anything about Legend of Dragoon, because
it has been anime deaths.
It has been so hard for me and Matt to talk about this game and not talk about this part because, like Rizzo said, like this is probably my favorite Aerith trope. It is my favorite game. I was talking about them with Matt and DMs, and we came up with a bunch of good ones. But this is one of my favorites, if not my favorite. And like not being able to like talk about it since we were playing this game has been so excruciating. That's why I don't know if you noticed, but I kept checking like, how's everybody doing this week? Like, are you done? Did you finish the disc? Can I please talk about this?
Oh, well, speaking of that, we should talk about what happened when we actually got there. So yesterday in host only, the host only page, we're just chilling, right? I don't think either of us had made any posts in a while. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, hold on, let me see. I get to the scene, and then I'm actually eating dinner while I'm playing, and my phone's not near me, so I don't make a push right away. And also, I'm thinking I don't want to spoil anything. So the point is, for me, it's like maybe half an hour later, I've played some more of the game. So then I go and I get my phone, and I start typing my message that I'm going to type to indicate that I have reached that point in the game. And as I'm typing, I see Sailor Eli is typing a message. And I'm like, that's funny. So then I post at 10:27 p.m. in all caps, "Yo, fuck this game." And Sailor Eli posts about 1 second before I do Eli's post about Lavitz dying. Like, simultaneous posting. It was the funniest thing. I was laughing my ass off. I do gotta say, I'm not.
I would have laughed if I wasn't crying.
I gotta say, just because we're all sharing our impressions, not to belittle, not to go against anyone else's emotions or anything. I wasn't really hit by it like emotionally, but that's just because I don't know where I am in life. Maybe like, you know, I'm experiencing this game at a relative emotional distance. Maybe it's the game's fault. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's playing on a Vita, or like playing on a Vita while eating dinner, or maybe it's the fact that I don't have fucking good headphones, so I can't hear the music. So for me, it's like I'm really just more like appreciating how well done it is from afar. I wasn't like crying or anything, but I was still very like, oh damn. Wow, that was a scene.
I mean, it's been some time since the game was released. I really liked this. I don't like Lavitz dying. I like how this is like a study of an opposing side from like Final Fantasy VII.
Yep.
In that like Eris was quiet, demure. You kind of like the game there made you spend more time with Eris as a means to get to know her. Like you had the choice to do that as like by going to like the Golden Saucer or whatever and going on your date. Whereas with Lavitz, like this is a good study on like hamming up a fucking character, making an audience like really like them, and then taking that away and the weight of that. So Lavit's dying was just iconic for me, not because I wanted this character to go away, but because they did a good job, even now, like over a decade later, right? Like, we all think he's a good boy. And that's just because of the way
very clearly a manic pixie
that
dream
they
girl,
wrote
so
his
obviously
character
he was gonna
out.
get fridged, but you know.
Yeah, you know, but like I really do like how in as far as a narrative goes, it was tons of dudes die in video games, right? But like Lavitz, everyone was just like, not him. We didn't want him to go.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah.
Yeah, as someone who hasn't played a whole lot of JRPGs, like, main characters dying, I don't know if this is something that happens in a lot of them, but like, you know, I'm at the point where I'm like, this is a main character in RPG. They're probably not going to die. You know, Aerith is kind of like the exception to the rule, I feel like.
Yeah.
Aerith, Eris, whatever you want to call her. Aerith. Wait, I don't know if that one works as well. You know, it kind of blindsided me. It took me by surprise. And I mean, yes, looking back, it makes sense because they built him up absolutely to make you fall in love with this guy.
Oh, yeah.
And for Dart to learn a lot from him before he dies.
Yes, absolutely.
He's like an Obi-Wan type.
Yeah, totally.
Not personality-wise.
Like, as we'll see here in a second at Lavitz's like wake or whatever, Dart literally changes from having a revenge quest to like, oh no, like I have honor and all of these other things that I learned from Lavitz.
Yeah. But just, you know, and there was obvious foreshadowing to it with the stuff with Loib and yeah, I'm sorry, I can't not say it.
No, I'm not going to just internalize it. It's great.
You know, and just the whole scene with his mother that was so sweet. Like, one of my like, how y'all gonna tell his mama that her baby's not coming home? Like, holy shit!
Yeah,
that was what that fucked me up. Like, thinking about that, I was like, oh, this is the part where I saw.
You're right. She even says like, I haven't heard from you in such a long time. I've been worried about you.
And she's like, happens. You know, I want grandbabies.
Now she's never gonna have any grandchildren.
That's just like Survey's gone too, so she like has no other chances to get grandbabies.
Yeah, and that's her whole family.
And I think that brings up a really good point because, like, here's the thing. On one hand, artistically, I think it's kind of rude to endlessly like, you know, if you hear a musician play their song, a very rude thing to be is immediately after they finish it, be like, oh, that sounds like so-and-so. You know what I mean? But, like, with this game, I think it's fair to compare it to FF7 because it's very fucking clearly riding the FF7 train. Like, that. But I don't think it's a bad comparison because this game really does seem like, honestly, this game reminds me a lot of my approach to art, which is it's taking a lot of very obvious influences and then using them in a very analytical and almost academic way. And like, let's really shuffle these elements together as well as we can. It reminds me a lot of Lufia 2, Lufia 2 does to Dragon Quest V what this game does to FF7. It takes all the elements, very appreciates and understands the structural building blocks of a narrative and then makes its own thing in a very coherent and studied kind of way. And what's cool here is that what makes this distinctly different from Aerith's deaths is that it's occupies a different place in the plot. Like, this entire disc is Midgar. Yeah. Like, this entire disc is the opening conflict that doesn't really matter in the long run. Yeah. So, whereas in FF7, that's not the case. Aerith's death happens in the middle of the actual plot of the game. Whereas this is, as I was telling Sam, this is when Sephiroth kills the not important at all character, the president of Shinra, at the end of the beginning of FF7 to prove how much of a badass he is. So, they kind of combined those two tropes. They combined the opening of the game is a self-contained independent story that doesn't really matter in the long run, but it sets up a lot of things for the real story that starts in Disc 2. They combined that trope with the major character death trope. And those two tropes had both been done in games before, but they had not been done at the same time. Yeah. So, structurally, like, I see what they're doing. Very obviously, on the surface, I see what's happening from, like, a 1 + 1 = 2 standpoint, and it's really fucking good. Yeah. And also, they trick you into thinking he has plot armor because he has a Dragoon. Like, you think that only chosen people, only certain people can be Dragoons. Turns out, that was kind of just a fake out to trick you.
And that was alluded to already by the fact that we killed folks and got their dragon things.
Yeah.
Dragon
the
souls.
lore of it is a little confusing to me. Hopefully they clarify it later, because at first it's like, oh, you're the chosen one. Now it's just like, get rock, be Dragoon.
No, so it is a chosen one, but it's a like so this game is very deist, which we'll get into when we get to the like meat and potatoes of the game. But it's in a, you just have to have an affinity for this element and be very strong-willed, and therefore you are chosen. So that strong will can be, I want to rule the world like Dole, or it can be, I want to protect my mom like Lavitz, and the stone doesn't care. Yeah.
So it's really about fashion, basically. It picks you if you're matching, if you're matchy. If you're not, if you threw something on this morning and you didn't really have time, you were kind of running late, kind of ran out the door, you couldn't find your green socks, so you're just wearing red socks, whatever, it's fine. Then the magic rock's like, nah, fuck off, man. Not gonna happen.
But yeah, it's good. At the there's so many little bits in this scene that like add to it. That is, I realize why I liked way back in Rogue Galaxy when Mancha turns away after Raoul dies. Because this happens with Rose, who like, she doesn't even care, but she turns away and holds Shauna while Shauna cries at this part, and it's good.
Yeah.
There's so many tiny little things, and like Albert sinks his head in sorrow. Dart holds Lavitz as his light goes out, and it's so good and so 32-bit, and I couldn't imagine if they made this in FMV, it wouldn't have worked as well
absolutely.
for me.
And another reason it works so well is that there's other interesting plot stuff here. Like here, this is also the reveal of the enemy. Oh yeah, we've even talked about this. It
might not have, because I was saving it, but yeah, Clokey reveals that he is Lloyd after Lavitz dies. He throws his cloak back. He's Lloyd, and he jumps from the tower. And Rose says that his sword is the Dragon Buster, and she recognizes it.
So the sword thing is cool because it's not just like, he killed the main character, he killed the best character arbitrarily, and it's sad. It's like, oh no, he could only kill the best boy because he had the magic plot sword that we didn't know he had. It's not an ass pull though, because this is disc 1. It's not an ass pull. It's starting the plot of the game. It's set up. And which again ties into why that's so surprising, because we're still in the setup. We're not in the main plot yet, so we weren't expecting something to happen this early. But it's like, this is the inciting incident is, that guy's got a magic sword. Shit.
Like the first historical Aerith that I know of, and I haven't played a lot of like 8 and early 16-bit JRPGs, so it's probably not the first, but Shadow is the first Aerith that I know of in FF6. And yes, technically you can save him, but it's not designed where you know to save him. It's a Easter egg where you save him. But his is like the last fucking thing you do for the first half of the game. It's like you could, moments after Shadow dies to save you, get your airship, go and beat the game with your 3 characters type thing. Like you could technically into the game.
Yeah. Structurally.
Structurally, it's right there towards the end of the game. It's like everything after that is side quest almost. Here, we don't like, I name dropped Melbu Frama earlier, and you don't even know who that is. Like he hasn't even been name dropped yet, and he's like a big force for the rest of the game. And it's like, nothing has happened. Lavitz should have been safe, at least until we escape a floating continent of some sort.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the really bad meme that I made?
The bad meme you did of a grape in surgery. It's so good.
It's a screenshot. I'll share it I won't share it to the general yet, of course, because spoilers. But it's a screenshot of Lloyd stabbing Lavitz, and Lloyd is labeled they, and Lavitz is labeled a grape, and the sword is labeled surgery.
It's so good.
Trash.
So we cry a lot, and oddly enough, the screen comes back up and it doesn't say please insert disc 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
I always remembered this as the end of the disc thing growing up. Like I completely forgot about this marginally forgettable end of the rest of the disc. But I I said to somebody, I think it was in Host Only, that this first disc is kind of like a season of Game of Thrones, where it's the second to last episode where everything important happens, and then the last episode is kind of meh and just sets up the next season, and that's definitely what happens here.
I was also surprised to not see Insert Disc 2, but honestly, and if we feel like talking about it later, if we have time, we can, 100% agree with the disc ending where it does, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it was surprising.
Yeah. So we get back in control of everyone in Celeste, and we mourn Lavitz and swear to kill Dole and save Sergio. You talk to each person. It takes like 10 minutes and the camera doesn't move. And so many Let's Plays and analyses talk about like how it's so long and boring, but I think it's so artistic and great that you just live in this scene with like 6 people and they're all sad.
Yeah, you're decompressing. You're like, you have to let it sit for a second.
It's good. I like it
really
so much.
Good.
But Rose says that Lloyd's sword was called the Braggin Duster, and and it was a Wingley weapon that was designed to nullify Dragoon's healing powers and kill them. And that's how Lavitz died in one hit instead of with a big drawn out boss fight like all of the other times we've killed Dragoons.
Yeah.
And Albert tells us what the Moon Gem is, and it's basically a plot MacGuffin. They are sacred Wingley objects that were separated each other to keep them powerless, and if you brought them all together, bad things would happen. And each of the royal families has ones, and the Sardians decided to be metal as fuck and just keep it inside their bodies, because why the fuck not? And he says that Lloyd worked for him back when he was just Clokey. Did you guys stumble across him in Bale when did you find Clokey back at the beginning of the game?
So. I don't remember.
So if you go back in, like after Dart and Shauna have their moment out on the balcony, if you go back into Albert's throne room and you climb up a ladder, you go to Albert's room, and somebody's like, hey, this is Albert's room, you can't come in here, but you ignore them and walk past. Clokey is in there like sitting at a desk, and he says like, oh, I'm Albert's advisor, blah 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 blah, but you recognize him as Clokey from everything else.
Oh yeah, when the guy said you can't come in here, I think I just believed him and walked away.
Yeah. But it's just an Easter egg. It doesn't like give you any extra plot stuff. He doesn't even like, oh hey, you're not supposed to meet me yet or anything like that. It's just an Easter egg.
Because the characters wouldn't recognize him, but we do because we've seen the fucking cutscenes that are cutaways that the characters haven't seen. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's good. But so Rose then is like, so Albert, how are you going to win a war if Dole has the I'm King Now gem and your army was just slaughtered? And he's like, well, we're going to go assassinate him because we have a lot of superheroes in our party. And everyone's like, sounds good.
Yep.
So meanwhile, in Castle Black, Dole is like, so you lost our prison and you let the girl go free. You kind of suck at evil plans. And Lloyd is like, nuh-uh, Dart's going to kill you. And Dole's just like, yeah, sure, okay. And we're like, no, you should listen to Lloyd. He kind of knows what's up. So
at this point, Lloyd is so obviously doing like I clearly have bigger plans than helping you. Helping you is secondary. I'm clearly the real villain here, and I'm just using you. And Dole is just completely oblivious to this fact.
Yeah.
He's just like, seems legit. I definitely am not going to get off so that you can be the real bad guy.
Yeah. So, we make it to Kazas, which has super dope-ass music. It probably sucked on the Vita because my favorite part about it is the bass line is just out of nowhere. Once a measure, this dubstep sounding ass wub wub happens, and it's so good.
Nah, it's still good.
It is great.
It's so good. I love it so much. There are a bunch of great NPCs here in Kazas.
Yeah.
And almost all of them point to like how Dole is pretty much just a propaganda machine, and he just tricks young people into joining the war to go and die, and everyone back home wants the war to end, which is prescient in 2000. And so it makes it like humanizes everybody and makes the the Return of the Jedi plot actually makes sense here because everyone in the Empire is evil. So you kill one evil guy, there are still millions of evil guys and books and books and books about the Fallout war battles until the Battle of Jakku when it's finally over. Yeah. Here, you can tell everyone's like, please just kill Dole, get him out of here, and then we can just be normal again. Albert, we love you, we want to come back type thing, which is dope.
Also here, isn't there stuff about how Dole is like kind of under like some sort of wizard spell which makes him evil?
Yeah, somebody, I think it's later. They're just like, look, he's been like extremely fucked up before. Like we joined this because all of the problems of like national socialism, but that's kind of not what's going on anymore. So this is kind of fucked up, and it's pretty dope. So yeah, there's so after you explore the town, you find a 12-year-old who has better infosec than Albert does, and he vets you and asks a whole bunch of questions to make sure he understands your motives, and he's like asking trick questions to make sure that you say the right things, to know that he can trust you to joining the Free Serdio party, at which point Albert is like, oh cool, I've heard about you guys. I'm King Albert. I'm here behind enemy lines, and I hope you don't want to kill me.
And he's like, nah, it's chill.
Yeah, so the 12-year-old lets us sneak into the castle, and the proper dungeon starts. And what did you guys think about this dungeon?
Excellent.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I really liked the aesthetics. I liked, like, the puzzles weren't... Well, okay, the garbage chute puzzle was a pain in the ass, but for the most part, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And I like that all of the battles are scripted. You don't have any random encounters.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that shit.
I'm a big fan of dungeons that have lots of NPCs to talk to in them. It's like you're fighting, but you're also just exploring a place. Mm-hmm. I really, really like that. Again, it's the Shinra Tower situation. And the dungeon takes its time too. It's not super like wham bam bam. Like you get to really explore and soak it in. It's excellent.
Yeah. There are more great NPCs here. Kind of don't really have time to go into them, but basically everyone hates Dole, and Dole is using his dragon magic science to promise to help people, but instead he's like, build me death rays, and people don't want to do that. And then
but we don't want to build death rays.
And then there's another dragon scientist who turns himself into a dog, and it's great.
Yeah, but the other scientists literally talk about how this one scientist sucks, and then he feels bad about it, so he says he's going to turn himself into a Cerberus, but instead he turns into a small dog, and I think Dart says, well, at least we were amused.
Yeah. It's good. So, on the way up, like almost at the end, we meet the commander from the very first FMV. He tries to make himself sound better, and he's like, it was all Dole's thing. If I were there, I wouldn't have let the killing happen, but we know that he was there because we fought him. But whatever. we'll let it slide. So he's the one that tells us that Dole is more vanquishy ever since Lloyd shows up, and the people have been living in squalor. So if Bale won and killed all of them and raced them to the ground, they might not even notice because life is so shitty under Dole right now. And he was like, he would rather us kill him, and we can end it now and rebuild, so we don't have to like keep dealing with a super evil king. And
I love that scene, actually.
Yeah. And there's a bit about a statue that's some bullshit mumbo jumbo about believing in yourself or something is not important. And that's not like the statue at the beginning of Xenogears that tells you the plot of the game. This one is just mumbo jumbo bullshit. But yeah, on the way up to Dole, he sicks Kongol on us again, but this time Kongol has some like kick-ass Mega Man armor, and it's pretty dope. How did you guys deal with the rematch?
Poorly, because I'm bad at Albert's additions.
Yeah, it was hard, but I beat him.
Yeah, I beat him, but it was, I had to be in Dragoon form. I had to be doing magic, and ugh.
I want to very briefly, I won't take too much time, promise. I forgot something very important about the death of poor sweet Babby Lavitz. Battle beforehand was actually very, very, very difficult for me because, again, of Shauna. And everyone but Lavitz died. And I didn't have any revive items. And also, I had just figured out Lavitz's, I had finally gotten good at Lavitz's additions. I could get it every single time. I was really kicking ass. Lavitz was carrying my party. And yeah, like, it was a, like, down to the skin of my teeth battle where Lavitz was the big hero and saved everybody.
Oh, it's even worse.
Yeah, and I'd finally gotten the hang of him. I was kicking ass. He saved everyone, and then he died.
Yeah.
He had his crowning moment of awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it hurts. But, yeah, so, yeah, so then after the battle, Rose goes to kill Kongol, and Dart spares him and is like, look, we don't do that whole killing shit around here. And Rose is like, wait, you don't just kill people? Huh, that's weird. And we're just like, Rose, like, you're so tortured. Just, like, tell us what's up. You obviously kill a lot of people, and you're really sad about it. Just talk to us. God damn it. But, yeah, we go upstairs, and we fight Dole, who has a kick-ass, like, throne elevator, because why the fuck not? And he has a pretty great villain line to that he says to Albert, and he's like, "Oh, you remind me of my brother Carlo's dead, blood-stained corpse in front of me," and it's just like, "Oh, fuck, you're evil." But yeah, he sets us up for Disc 2 and says that Lloyd is trying to get Shauna by the time that the moon that never sets waxes. And he also says that Lloyd is a pawn for Emperor Diaz, you know, the guy from the Dragon campaign. Basically, everyone is 10,000 years old and it's no biggie. And, what is this, Xenogears? And then he taunts us and fights us, and the first real boss of the game happens. How did you guys like it?
It was a little rough.
It was hard.
Rose died at one point. Or no, she didn't die because I didn't have any angel dealies left. So I couldn't have revived her. So I had to make sure I used my healing rain on that one because I was like, I can't. And I did use Albert's second magic to protect everyone. But I mean, overall, I got through it. But it was definitely more of a challenge than the other ones.
I had given up on Shauna at this point. I was rolling with Haschel and Albert. I know Haschel, it's like he's not a Dragoon yet, but it's like I really want to get his additions up, right? Anyway, it was really tough. I had to make use of the extremely OP nature of guarding a lot. Yeah. So I would have to have lengthy segments where I would use the defense up buff, and then I would block, get my health up, and then whittle his fucking health down. Ooh, it was tough.
Yeah. And then, as if he's not hard enough, he then transforms into a Rouge Dragoon. Again, completely unrelated
that's
to us.
That's how I was doing this.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated to us having a Rouge party member. Definitely not related. And, yeah, so then he fights us as a Dragoon, and he's like, he was hard already. He's super hard as a Dragoon, and he's just like lightning the fuck out of us, and he doesn't have any weaknesses because lightning is OP in this game, and he sucks. And he finally goes down, and when we win, Dart anime swords him, and Dole says, what you should know is not the past, it is the future. Pursued Lloyd, again, theme. And then he dies, and it shows him dying in a cool way because he's clutching his chest while he's death monologuing, and then it shows his blood splattering on the ground in like really artistic way, which is funny because Rose's second or third magic attack, Hellgate, she stabs herself in the stomach like seppuku to bring forth the blood that then opens the gate to hell and fucks people up. Yeah, except in Japan, that was too metal, so they did it off screen. You just see the blood fall down. But even that was too metal for America, so it's just black goo, which... So imagine the front of somebody where your stomach is, and imagine that you're flying in the air so your legs are a little bit apart. And now imagine that straight down from where you just cut yourself, black goo comes down, and it looks like she shits out a gate to hell. And it is the stupidest censorship in gaming.
Oh, that's awful.
She's like, oh, what did I eat? Got the runs.
But apparently showing the blood here is totally fine, so it doesn't even make sense. And, yeah, so Albert is like, we did it, we beat the game, let's go home. But everyone's like, but there's 3 more discs in this box. And, then Dart's, theme kicks in, I'm pretty sure. Probably because he starts, giving a speech, and that's how it usually happens. But he says that Shauna still isn't safe, and that Lloyd killed Lavitz, and obviously Emperor Diaz has some shit going on, and everything is like bad is happening, and it's his destiny to go and stop, so he's going to go and stop him. And everyone's like, yeah, we agree, that's great. And Haschel is like, well, fuck all that, I'm busy. And he turns to walk out, but then the purple Dragoon spirit comes down, and he's like, well, never mind, I guess I'm involved in this too. And Rose says a line that I love, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but I love it anyways. She says, when Dragoons meet, blood doth flow, and as they leave, time does slow. Which is cool, but nonsense, and not related to anything that happened, but I love it anyways.
It makes a little sense, I think. She's saying that if you leave, as in if you don't be a Dragoon, time slows, which is to say we're not going to be proceeding towards our destiny, you know? It's like, literally, if you go away, it's bad, and if you come here, blood flows, which I guess means, I don't know, you get pumped up.
Or it's Rose, and she just thinks that's how like existing works, and you're just like, what? You just go around and you kill everyone, right? Like that's what you do. But and then Haschel decides to stay, and Dart says the worst end disc line ever, and he says Dragoon spirits are leading us, and the screen fades to black and says to insert disc 2.
Like,
and it's
cool.
And we did it! Yay!
And we did it. But this one was a little beefy this week, but there was no good place to stop in the middle of this to
we kind of had we had to do it to him. Yeah,
I should have made you like save before the boss fight in Helena. But yeah, it was great. This was my favorite part. This is why I was like, oh, if Maddie's friend wants to come and do a episode, she'll probably want to come and do one after episode 2, because you can't talk about this game without talking about Lavitz.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
Oh,
but,
sweet Lavitz.
Sweet Lavitz. But, so, I also jotted in my notes, because I didn't remember where it came up, but, I don't remember if I said this in our preamble, or if I said it on the episode, so I apologize if this, is redundant, but, Albert just takes Lavitz's stats. It like changes the battle sprite and the face sprite and the name, and otherwise it's Lavitz. But because he's his own person still, his additions have different timing, because while they had the same training, they are different people. So it's like, the stats are the same, and you can keep him as the Lavitz in your party. That's why earlier when I was like, oh yeah, you keep the Dart, Lavitz, and Rose party for the rest of the game, I meant Albert, but I wasn't going to spoil it for you. That
right, obviously.
But you do have to relearn his additions, because he is a new person. He does fight differently, even if it's not even if he has the exact same training. And I thought that was really, really cool. But cool. Also, I don't remember any scenes where it came up, but surely it had, because Lavitz is gone. But Lavitz's theme is really, really good. And
I don't know which track that is, but I'll look it up. I'm sure it's good.
But yeah, and so I'm going to drop it in here. I don't remember when it played. It might. I think it played when Dart and Lavitz were talking about Lavitz growing up back in last episode. I think that's when it plays, and I forgot to mention it there. But I love it. It's one of my favorite tracks in the game. It's so hopeful, which is so sad, because Lavitz doesn't get any of his hopes. Is it safe to say that everyone's favorite part of the week was the whole Lavitz thing?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good, fam.
Yeah, it's great, but
Albert's hot.
Albert's hot, which is
okay. I know Eli's a big fan of Albert because of how hot he is. I do have one I want to push back a little bit. I hate the way that he says his addition names.
Yeah.
fair enough.
His voice sucks. What's his main one that he keeps using? The Typhoon or whatever?
Typhoon Rod.
Rod Typhoon?
Rod Typhoon.
I hate the way he says it. He's
I
like,
haven't
"Rod
been able to
Typhoon."
I haven't
I'm like,
been able
"Shut
to
the fuck
complete
up."
the edition to hear it, so
I never do.
Yeah, like Lavitz saying harpoon is like iconic, and so when you get Albert and he's just like harpoon, and I'm like, that's not how you say it, man. Like, come on,
it's not.
that's not right.
You're not Lavitz. I'm sorry, man. All right.
But yeah, so we've gone a little late because it was kind of beefy, but yeah, that'll wrap us up for the week. So if you like what we do here, let us know. You can reach us at rpgbookclub@gmail.com, on Twitter at rpgbookclub, in our Discord, who has a link in the description. And if you really like what you do here, you can help us pay for it by donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub, or by getting some merch from our store at shop.spreadshirt.com/rpgbookclub. And join us next week when we play through part 1 of chapter 2, which is it's called The Platinum Shadow, I do believe.
Whoa. That's some Sailor Moon shit.
Yeah. And and we'll be stopping after the boss battle with Linus. That's the first one. If you've played the game before, she comes back at the end of disc 2, and we're not going to play the whole disc. We probably could. It's really short, this disc, but we're not going to. So, cool. Yeah, for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias, Sailor Eli Warren.
I'm Maddie Spiffle-Webben.
And I'm Michael Rodriguez.
And I love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I am best.
Good luck, folks.